Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's Small Business Administration and COVID-19 webinar hosted by Congresswoman Norma Torres. We're joined today by the U.S. Small Business Administration, Orange County Inland Empire Small Business Development Center, and the San Bernardino County Economic Development Agency to connect our small businesses with loan resources and other information that they may need amid the current ongoing global pandemic. Before we begin, I just want to go over a few housekeeping items to ensure that you all have a smooth webinar experience. If you for some reason lose access to the webinar, you can rejoin with the link that's provided in your email that was sent to you prior to the webinar. If you have any questions, please be sure to type those into the chat box on the right-hand side of your screen. That way we can see those questions and potentially get to them during the Q&A session. However, if your question is not addressed in the time allotted, please contact our office following this webinar. We'll have that information at the end of the presentation. That way we can connect you with the resources that you may need. And with that, I would like to turn it over to Congresswoman Norma Torres to give her introductory remarks on Congress's work to provide small business relief.
Thank you, Jacob, and thanks to everyone for joining us this morning. Coronavirus isn't just dangerous to our health, it's creating an unprecedented threat to our economy, our businesses, and our workers. There are resources available, however, to help at the federal, state, and local levels. And the purpose of this webinar is to make sure that small business owners know how to access those resources. And to that end, I want to thank our guest speakers for taking the time to give us the very latest information today. Sylvia Gutierrez, an Economic Development Specialist with the Small Business Administration. Michael Daniel, Regional Director of the SPDC Network, and Matthew Mena, an Economic Development Technician with the City of San Bernardino. We're all here to make sure that you have the information you need to keep your business going strong and your employees on payroll. I'll start things off with a bit of an update from Washington. When the economic downturn hit, our first priority in Congress was to help business stay afloat and make payroll. We wanted to make sure that we focus on maintaining that employee-business relationship. So the more people that we can help keep employed, the fewer will have to face the threats of COVID without the security of a paycheck. So we passed the $2.2 trillion CARES Act at the end of March. It included $350 billion to help small businesses make payroll. You should know that that program that these funds created, the Paycheck Protection Program, has an extremely important deadline coming up. The last day to apply for the PPP program is June 30th. That's less than 2 weeks away. So if you're struggling to make payroll and you're on this webinar looking for a solution, don't wait, get your application in today. The CARES Act also has an emergency economic injury grant program to deliver quick infusions of cash for businesses and organizations. It has a small business debt relief program to help those struggling with their pre-existing SBA loans. And it includes funding for small businesses, business counseling, the technical assistance that you may need in order, to get help for all of this. The CARES Act was a good start, but getting through this pandemic is a marathon, not a sprint. We can't expect emergency relief Congress passed in March to support businesses and workers for as long as it will take to find a vaccine. So we have since passed an additional $360 billion for small businesses. And I wish I could say that we passed even more than that, but unfortunately, politics hasn't stopped with the COVID-19. And not everyone in Washington agrees with me about delivering more help to you. We passed a support package out of the House just a few weeks ago called the HEROES Act. So far, the Senate refuses to even consider it. And the president has said that he will not sign it if we deliver that bill to his desk. Roadblocks like these are anything but helpful in the midst of a crisis, a pandemic. But But I want you to know that none of this is will stop me. My office and I are always working hard to help you, and that's why we're here on this webinar right now. I've already announced more than $156 million in COVID support for the Inland Empire, and we're not stopping. Those funds are helping to ensure that we have an economy to come back to when we finally open up everything for business in the near future. So with that, I'm looking forward to our conversation, and I'll let Jacob welcome our first panelist.
I'd actually like to turn it over to Julie, who will guide the programming from here. Julie?
Thank you, Jacob. All right, so like the Congresswoman said, without further delay, I'll go ahead and introduce Sylvia Gutierrez. She's with the Small Business Administration. She'll go over the resources and current loans that are still available through SBA. So.
Yes, thank you, Julie, and thank you, Congresswoman Torres, for the opportunity to be here and share about our programs. I thank you for the work that you're doing in Washington, D.C., and for looking out for us and our communities and the businesses across the country, since you participate in the Small Business Committee. I think that a lot of businesses are benefiting from your efforts, and I'm grateful and honored to be with this panel. And yes, here is the logo for the SBA. If some people in our audience are not familiar with us, believe it or not, I do get to speak to some people who have not needed assistance from the SBA in the past and are coming to know us these days, and I'm happy to let them know about our programs and services. And for those of you that want to know more about us, you can see here on the screen, the office is located in Santa Ana, and we service particularly 3 counties, Orange County, San Bernardino, and Riverside. However, these days, we do not turn down anyone. We receive from phone calls from throughout California, from Nevada, and other states. Michigan, I receive calls from Michigan and Seattle and Florida. So we are available to answer your questions. And here is my email and my telephone number. And I have here my office telephone number and my direct cell phone number. If you're not able to get in touch with me when you call me, because sometimes I'm on the main line and I have a lot of calls coming in, feel free to send me a text message with a question and your email, and I'll be happy to respond. That's how I've been communicating with a lot of people. So that it is okay to text me. Thank you. Let's move on to the next slide. And as Congresswoman mentioned, the CARES package the CARES Act has put out funds for several programs, specifically the Economic Injury Disaster Loan and Loan Advance. I hope that a lot of people who are in need of funds for employees, for payroll and working capital have taken advantage of applying for this loan, which you can do directly through our website, sba.gov/disaster. The link takes you directly to the application. If you have not done it before, it's a streamlined application. It has some little dots on the left-hand side, and the application has about 4 sections. It's supposed to take about 2 hours to complete, but I have worked with some people on the phone who prepare everything ahead of time that they think that they are going to need to complete a loan application, and they are able to do it in about 20 to 30 minutes. It is not a difficult application to complete, and I encourage those businesses that have not applied to take a look at it. It might be something that you need, and do not forget to check the box that says loan advance. The loan advance promises to offer and give $1,000 per employee for businesses. The limit of the loan program is $2 million, and it has a maturity of up to 30 years, and very low interest rates is 3.75, I believe, and the first payment is due in a year. So this is a great program for businesses, and like I said, I encourage those that have not applied to go ahead and apply, because it is there for you. So far, the Office of Disaster Assistance has processed over $17 billion in loans for small businesses across the country. It is an incredible amount that is been put out in the market to sustain the businesses. Currently, a lot of businesses are having some challenges with the EIDL in terms of not hearing back right away or expecting a response in days. And we understand that you do need the funds, and it is taking about 4 weeks or maybe longer to process the loan. Also, another group of people might be experiencing some challenges. They might be experiencing or receiving decline notices. For those of you that are receiving decline notices, I suggest that you do not get discouraged, because there you have the opportunity to apply for a reconsideration of that decline. There are many reasons why you could be declined, and you have the opportunity to apply for a reconsideration, ask to see what the reason is, and if it can be remedied so that you can be actually considered for the loan and move forward. I expect to see some more questions on that later on. We also have the reconsideration. The address is on our website, or if you need it, please, I don't think we have it on any of the slides or the link, but feel free to call our office, look on our website, and we'll have that for you. If you have any questions about the status of your loan, you can also call us at our office, or just call directly the Office of Disaster Assistance at the 1-800 number 659-2955. And we can move to the next slide. If there are no questions about that, we can talk a little bit more now about the other program, the Paycheck Protection Program. And just a note about the EIDL program. The EIDL program is, you still can apply until the end of September 30th. You can still apply for that loan. The Paycheck Protection Program is going to sunset on June 30th. That is next Tuesday. And we understand that a lot of lending institutions would like to have your application prior to that. So you have basically hours to take advantage of this loan program if you haven't done so. This loan is also a very generous program that promises to forgive up to $100 of the loan amount if you use it for the right specified reasons that you were allowed. 60 to 75% in payroll, and also working capital, and we can go into more details about that. I encourage people to take a look at it, although we're running out of time. There's still funds available. Like I put here on the screen, about $139 billion still available since the other day when I put the presentation together about 2 days ago. And there are $10 billion for the underserved communities and CDFIs. Another segment portion of this loan has been opened up to a small segment of the population that has had some challenges with the authorities, and but they have managed to rebuild their lives, and they have businesses, and they need to borrow money to continue rebuilding their businesses. I encourage you to take a look at the regulations so that you can apply for the loan. And the next slide, please. And loan forgiveness, like we talked about, the PPP has a great portion of the loan that is going to be forgiven. Wow, This is amazing. There are 2 applications that you can use to apply for forgiveness. And I know that a lot of business owners have a lot to do. There's too many things to juggle after you applied for the loan. Now you need to apply for forgiveness. The applications are not difficult, especially the last 2 applications. And Congresswoman can probably talk about that as well, that the Congress has worked very diligently to make the applications user-friendly. There are 2 applications out there. You can see them on our website. I encourage you to take a few minutes to read the instructions before you decide which application you are going to use. But if you're still a little bit uncertain and you need some guidance, I encourage the audience to log on to onto our website or to sign up for the webinars that we're having at 2 o'clock every day when we are talking about not the loan program, forgiveness, and how to utilize the funds. We are having a lot of questions about that. So I encourage the audience to sign up for one of the webinars that we are having at the SBA or through our resource partners like the Small Business Development Centers. And I'm sure we will hear the schedule on the classes that they are having about for the forgiveness application, because there is assistance. I know it might look a little bit intimidating, but it's not difficult at all. So I encourage you to take advantage of the resources that we have available. This loan has a maturity of 2 to 5 years, depending on when you receive the loan. Okay, with the Flexibility Act, the some regulations that were introduced in the beginning have been relaxed, and just to make it more user-friendly for the borrowers. They extended the time when they can use the monies from 8 to 24 weeks. I'm sure people know that because a lot of the concerns at this time into the CARES Act progress is to apply for forgiveness. So let's look at the next slide. And Julie had asked me to talk a little bit about the 7A loan program. But as you know, the SBA focuses on 4 different things. The first one is management and technical assistance. The second pillar of the SBA is the access to capital. The third one is government contracting. And the fourth one is the disaster assistance. And we have been utilizing the fourth pillar for the last few months, is the one that has moved to the forefront. But the SBA has 10 different loan programs that people and businesses can tap into to grow their businesses. And one of the loan programs, as you know, is the 7A loan program, and that is where the PPP loan program derives from. That is a general purpose loan. Then we have the 504 loan program for real estate machinery and equipment, the SBA Express, the Capline loan program for people that need monies to finance a contract, for a seasonal line of credit, or just a general. This is a very generous loan program, and I encourage businesses to take a look at it if they need financing. We also have available not only through some SBA selected institutions, the microloan program, but we also partner with organizations that handle microloans. And let's not forget the package for international trade, a very generous loan that the SBA guarantees up to 90% of the international trade loan program, the export working capital, and the export express, just to name a few. And can we have the next slide, please? And here I do not want to forget to mention our very valuable resource partners like the Small Business Development Centers across the nation, across the state, providing services that Mike is going to talk about. I'm not going to go into it. And then we have SCORE, different chapters across the country and across the state, across the area in our Tri-County area, and of course, women business centers. These services provide, these resource partners provide assistance for any of the services that I mentioned before, where people need some clarification or some assistance with completing an application, or just questions about the businesses. And but I'm gonna let Mike talk more about what our resource partners do. Okay, so let's have our next slide, please. Okay, thank you very much for the time. I think that I am right about the time when I'm supposed to turn it over to the next speaker. If you have any questions, let me know, or maybe later on.
Thank you so much, Sylvia. I will move next to Mike Daniel. He'll be going over the Small Business Development Center's operations and some of the services that they provide for small businesses. Michael, if you'd like to move forward.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Julie, and thank you, Congresswoman Torres, for having us on. Let me talk a little bit about the Small Business Development Center, and we usually go by the acronym of SPDC. Can we move to the next slide? So the SPDC, or the Small Business Development Center, we are a federally funded program through the Small Business Administration, and really where our budget comes from Congress, and similar to the SBA, we're here to serve businesses. We have a slightly different structure, a slightly different way of how we go about that. We cover Orange County, Riverside, and San Bernardino counties, similar to the SBA, but we're hosted out of 8 different locations. Closest to you would be Cal State San Bernardino, and then we have UC Riverside, who helps in our tech centers, and several other centers spread throughout the 3-county region here to help you. What we do is very unique. We provide one-on-one consulting services to businesses that are really at this moment in time surviving and recovering, and that's where we fit. We are all business owners ourselves. I think that's probably the unique aspect of what we do. And the great part about what we're doing is that between the Congresswoman, between the state of California, and several of our other partners, we don't charge for what we do. So it's a pretty amazing service. And we always hear, we've never heard of you, you're the best kept secret. That's probably the worst thing to hear. We want to be able to help everybody. So as I go through this pretty quickly, we'll just kind of go through some of our services. Can we go to the next slide? So a little bit about myself real quick. That's what I look like when I'm dressed up. I apologize, I probably should put on a tie. Matthew, you're not making me look good here. But thank you anyways. But I own a couple of Rocky Mountain chocolate factories and a Sugar Daddy Sweet Shop, which is a candy store in Long Beach. And similar to probably most of you on this call, have been affected greatly by COVID-19. And as we move forward, I'm in 2 different counties trying to understand what's the regulation around county, city, state, and trying to figure out what to do with my employees and what to do with all these things. We're going through these same things, and as we're really kind of doing it ourselves, we're also helping other people do this as well. So that's a little about myself. We go to the next slide. Things that we want everybody to focus on, right? And this is for people that have brick and mortars, for people that have all these different aspects in your business. These are the 3 things that you can control, right? And you can try to focus on, right? Your lease. Right, as we're getting back open and we're in business. I have one store that opened about 4 weeks ago. I have one that opened 2 weeks ago. But that was 3 months of not receiving any revenue, or not getting any revenue. How do we negotiate with our landlord? And also understanding the landlord's point of view, right? They have bills to pay as well. They can't just say, they're just going to abate the rent, meaning they're not going to charge you anything. But I think you need to have that conversation with your landlord. And probably similar to me, I mean, in one of my stores, I pay $10 a square foot. I pay $10,000 a month for rent. That's tough to pay $30,000 with no revenue coming in over a 3-month period, but you have to continue to have that conversation. And my suggestion to you is to keep it positive, even though it might not go your way. They might say, no, we're not going to abate anything, meaning we're not going to reduce your rent in any way. We're not going to defer it in any way. What we'd like to do is, if you don't know how to have that conversation, or if it didn't go well the first couple of times, call me. Let me help you figure out whether it's a letter you're going to send, or just to help you kind of prepare for that conversation, but continue to have that conversation. Don't just stop. Don't decide just not to pay your rent, because what's going to happen is at some point in time, the landlord has the ability to take you to court to, basically give you a pay or quit notice, which would mean that if you don't pay the whole rent, they could take away your space. And, most of us personally guarantee our leases, which means we've tied everything to this. And so we want to make sure that you're constantly having a conversation. Like I said, try to keep it positive. I know it's difficult, but try to do that. And if you don't know how to do that or you don't know what to say, call me. That's why we exist, is to help you through this part. Existing loans, if you have existing loans prior to COVID hitting, a lot of lenders are willing to defer those payments for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. At least call them, try to have that conversation. And again, reason why we exist. If you don't know how to do that, let us help you through that. And then insurance. And all of us have probably tried to see what's in our insurance policy and realize, oh, we either have what's called business income or interruption insurance, or we don't. About 30% of small businesses in California have business income insurance. It is, and probably like you, I filed a claim with my insurance company and said, hey, I have this thing it's supposed to cover when a government shutdown or, a virus. But I got a form letter back an hour after I filed my claim. And unfortunately it said, because it was a pandemic, it superseded everything else, right? So nothing's covered. I can tell you that the Insurance Commissioner of California has filed, is looking to file claims against it. We have a lot of companies, bigger companies like Fresh Laundry in Napa Valley has filed a claim against and taken them to court, their insurance company. Something is going to happen, whether it's, we don't know how this is going to weigh in, but in a couple of years, you're going to see some kind of action settlement, possibly, or nothing. But if you don't at least file your claim, you won't receive anything. So at least file a claim. If you have business income insurance, it takes 5 minutes to do it. You're probably going to get a decline notice. It doesn't make your insurance go up. It doesn't change anything about your policy. It just shows that, yes, I was affected. I had this coverage. I think it should cover, but if it doesn't, it doesn't. Well, let's see what happens as the courts play out through that system. So next slide. So a couple different ways and different loans for people and different options. And I know the hardest thing as a business owner is to say, I don't want a loan, right? I mean, I didn't need a loan prior to this. Why do I want it now? So for those of you that didn't apply for economic injury disaster loan, that is a 30-year, 3.75% fixed rate. Just to give you a for example, if you received $100,000 of idle funding, it's roughly about $475 a month for 30 years. You can pay it off whenever you want, but it is good security if you don't, just to have it. And I realize there's a cost involved in that. Let's just say you don't use any of that $100,000. It's roughly going to cost you about $3,000 a year to keep it. But just to have something there, just in case, I would suggest, a good option. It did reopen again. And if you are stuck in the queue somewhere, the SBA and Sylvia is a great resource to go to. You can also come to us. We'll try to help you figure out where you are in that system. Keep in mind, I believe there's roughly about 5 million applications. The SBA could not be prepared for the entire country all coming at the same time doing this. They've done a great job of getting money out, getting out quickly, but there's so many people in this queue that they're trying to work through it. But the Paycheck Protection Program, like Sylvia said, there's roughly about a week left before this is going to expire. If you haven't applied for it, you can be an independent contractor, sole proprietor, C Corp, S Corp, doesn't matter what you are, you can apply for it. If you're an independent contractor, let's say, to figure out how much you would qualify for it, look at your 1040, your Schedule C, go to line 31, divide by 12, multiply by 2.5, that's roughly what you would get. It could be a couple thousand, it could be several thousand, but at least it's something, right, to get you through this. And, there are a couple lenders, and we don't support any particular lenders, but there are a lot of lenders that still have money that are doing this, that don't need you to move your entire relationship over to them. I'm going to just list some, but there are many more than this. But there's PayPal online. Everybody's heard of PayPal. There's Lendio, Cabbage with a K, K-A-B-B-A-G-E. There's Ampac CDC, and that's local to you. There's Clearinghouse CDFI, which is local to Orange County. There's a lot of different lenders that are all doing this. They all have to do the exact same program. So if you don't know how to do it, call Sylvia, call myself. We will walk you through this one-on-one to try to find you the right places. And I'm going to skip over this real quick. Maybe we go to the next slide, because I know I'm probably running out of time. We go to one more and one more, just so we can get to, yep, so perfect. So this is really where we focus right now, is in your place of business. As you are preparing to reopen, or you've just reopened, you need to have a plan. It doesn't have to be a comprehensive plan. It needs to be something that you know how to follow. And it's built around these really core 3 things: your cash and preparing, what is it going to look like? I mean, I guess what I'm looking at in my business is, can I just get to break even through the end of the year? What does that look like? How do I prepare for that? Our people, how do we bring our people back? I mean, for me, I have about 30 employees. Most of them are between minimum wage, maybe $18 to $20 an hour. They're making more on pandemic unemployment assistance than they are coming back to me. How do I navigate that? How do I bring back the right people? And then ultimately, how do I protect my workers? And what we're starting to see now with businesses reopening is that their workers are getting COVID in their place of work. That is a big deal. That is liability. You need to have protocols in place for how you bring your people back. how you're checking them as they come back to work. There's some really simple plans. So I'm going to give you a website, and I apologize, I don't have it here, but it's covid19.ca.gov. Again, covid19.ca.gov. You can go down to your industry. It's listed by industries. It's the state of California. It's through the governor's office. It will list every single industry, and then it will give you the OSHA compliance 9-page or 12-page piece of and protocol, how you take care of your people, your customers, sanitize your place of business, all the protocols you're supposed to follow. Not all of it is super easy to understand, but call us, we'll help you through it and help you build a plan for reopening. But you need to be checking the temperatures of your employees. They need to be self-certifying when they come to work that they don't have any of the symptoms of COVID. If not, you're liable, and your workers' comp might not cover it. So you need to understand what you're liable for as you go back. And I apologize, because this is a scary thing, right? We are liable for everything that happens in our place of business. As we put in, PPE into our business, I just put in PPE, and we wanted custom PPE because we didn't want to screw up all of our woodworking cabinets as people come in, and we didn't think through it enough. We put in this beautiful piece of plexiglass across our cash wrap in one of our stores that was custom made, put in. It was about $2,000. Well, we have a Clover system that when we put people's information in, we literally have to turn it so people can sign it. Well, when you have plexiglass, there's no way for them to put their hand through the plexiglass to sign it. So, something that we overlooked, so we had to cut it out, but just things to think through. And then just real quick on that whole customer transaction experience, if you don't have the ability to take a cashless transaction, meaning somebody could use like Apple Pay or things like that, you can call your credit card company, and they're basically taking off your system so people don't have to sign the transaction on your pad. You just have to call your credit card company, and they are removing liability from you for not having that signature. So all you have to do is call them, but it is a great way to take away that burden, and that's what we want to do, is just take away barriers for people that could be touching things, just whatever we can do to eliminate those touches from these things. So yeah, we could go to the next slide. These are just real quick the 4 stages of business, and we are in stage 3 for some counties, and this is really a county by county piece, but we're moving into stage 3 in Orange County, Riverside County, I believe in San Bernardino County. We're all moving to stage 3 where hair salons, nail salons, gyms are reopening. So making sure that you're taking care of yourself and that you understand this. And I know that the governor came out yesterday and said it is mandatory for everybody to have a mask. So that is mandatory, but I will also tell you that in my place of business, I have a lot of young workers. They are 18 to 24 years old. And we've asked people to put on a mask. We don't want to be the police, right? So teaching and educating your employees what to say and what not to say, because it can become a violent situation where people will fight back with either not wanting to wear the mask. I don't want to put my employees in that situation. So you need to know what you're going to do if that were to happen. So yeah, next slide. So ways to get a hold of us are down here at the bottom, 1-800-616-7232. We do a call every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to talk about EIDL and PPP, and also liability and workers, taking care of your workers. We will help you one-on-one. We don't charge for what we do. The Congresswoman has paid for what we do. SBA has paid for what we do. The state of California, we're here to help you. We are all business owners ourselves, just looking to help you the same way we would want help. And I apologize, I probably took more time than I should have, but thank you for the time, and I'll stick here for some questions.
Thank you so much, Michael. I know you just barely scratched the surface on the services you guys provide. And I think it's a perfect segue for Matthew Mina from the County of San Bernardino. He works in the Economic Development Agency. He's going to go over the San Bernardino County COVID Compliance Partnership Program, which I think it would be a great informational resource for the businesses in the county, just to see how they can comply with those worker protections. Matthew, if you want to take it.
Perfect. Thank you, Julie. And thank you, Congresswoman Norma Torres. And thank you for everybody who's attending today. Just a little bit of background on San Bernardino County Economic Development and what we do. We provide a wide array of services, which include business retention, business attraction, and technical assistance. We also do one-on-one meetings, and we can help guide you through those federal, state, and local level tax credit programs. And you can reach us at 909-387-4460, or you can visit our website at selectsbcounty.com, where you have the access to download resources, so you can look through it on your time. We've also created a COVID-19 webpage, and there you can find all the resources and information related to economic relief efforts here in the county, through the state, or even federal programs. And so the COVID Compliant Business Partnership Program, this is actually the first program of its kind in the state of California. $30 million has been allocated for small business funding and support for all businesses who wish to partner with the county. And this really does illustrate the county's commitment to rebuilding and sustaining the quality of life here in the county for its residents and businesses. Next slide. So this program has two components. There's the funding, which is in the form of a $2,500 stimulus for all eligible small businesses, which is 1 to 100 employees, and then support and partnership for all eligible businesses within the County of San Bernardino who wish to become COVID compliant business partners. So support. Through this program, businesses will gain access to purchasing PPE directly from the county at the county cost. And then partnership. Through this program, we will start mailing out, or we have actually mailed out window graphics for businesses to show that they actually are committed to the public health and safety protocols given by the state and the county. Next slide. So this program is aimed to reimburse or offset any costs that businesses incur by becoming COVID compliant. And we know that it is costly to do so. I know Mike just spoke on that. And this program aims to try to offset those costs. That way you can get back to work and people can start coming in and shopping and enjoying your services. And so prior to receiving the funds, businesses must show that they are complying with the safety protocols and social distancing practices in their daily operations. The deadline for this program is August 31st, 2020. However, I would recommend businesses apply as soon as possible because funds are limited and we do not guarantee that the $30 million will last until August 31st. Next slide. And so for more information on this program, we are actually partnering with SPDC and Mike Daniels to give you more information on what this program entails, what are the eligibility requirements, things that you need to do to fill out the application, documentation that you'll need. And so we're going to have two dates. The first is on June 23rd at 9 a.m. and that's going to be in English. And then we also have one on Thursday, June 25th, and this will be in Spanish. Next slide. And so lastly, I just want to thank everybody for allowing me to speak. And if you have any questions regarding San Bernardino County's COVID-19 response, I would direct you to the SB COVID-19 website, or you can actually call in and speak to a representative here at the county. And the number is 909-387-3911. And again, thank you very much.
Hey, Matthew, I think we need to update that last slide because none of those workers have a face mask.
Yes, we do.
Thank you both for that. So I do want to let the RSVPs and our guests know that we will make sure to have the contact information for our guest speakers today available so you know how to get access to those resources, and we'll make sure to make available some of the PowerPoint slides as well. I also, Jacob, if you wanted to go ahead and go to the next slide. I do want to make sure that everyone has access to the County of LA. They also have a disaster help center helpline. So if you need to contact them regarding any with your businesses, workers, nonprofits, tenants, or landlords, they have a phone number that you can reach them at and they will direct you to the right resource. You can go ahead to go to the next slide. And also the City of Chino is also having their micro enterprise business grant program. There's an application deadline of June 24th 4th at 5 p.m. This is a grant to receive up to $10,000 or up to 3 months of rental or lease payment assistance to ease the financial burden of COVID-related revenue losses for small businesses. And like I said before, we'll make sure to have this available on the Congresswoman's website. Next slide. Ontario also has a business and workforce development program. They have not launched this program. It's providing assistance in the form of a 5-year term, 0% interest loan to Ontario's downtown small business community. As soon as we have those details available and they launch the program, we will make sure to have it on the Congresswoman's website as well. Next slide. All right, and so I just want to thank our guest speakers and of course Matthew for that presentation. I will now switch gears and commence our Q&A. I will read off several questions provided from our RSVPs today. Please feel free to continue and ask questions in the chat box. My colleague Jacob will be collecting them as well. If we're not able to get to any of the questions today, we will make sure that we provide that contact information for our guest speakers. So our first question is, how does the Paycheck Protection Program apply to staff who have already been furloughed? Sylvia, if you would like to.
Okay. I think it depends on when you a business received the funds, and also you wanna take a look and see if those employees were furloughed with or without pay, and then were they referred to unemployment. Okay, because the purpose of the loan program is to pay your employees while they were sent home due to the government mandate to close down the businesses. Did I answer the question?
I think it's important for people to recognize that, if temporarily, you put them out, but you bring them back, you could apply. Again, the focus was to keep that employee-employer relationship. We know that your business shut down, but you continue to pay your employee. That keeps that employee also on the insurance, and that keeps, all the benefits 100%. That's why the federal government, us in Congress, focused on making you, giving you that money so that you can pass it on, and it's not a burden just on you, business owner.
Exactly. And then if the business was not able to bring back all the employees, like right away, and some of them are going to be coming back later on, you have until December 30th to bring them back.
And then you will qualify for
the forgiveness part.
For
yes.
the forgiveness.
Exactly.
Thank you. So our next question, and this is a question we've actually received from constituents as well, is when applying for an EIDL loan, how much flexibility does SBA allow for bad credit? Do you run the business credit for the individual business or the owner's credit?
Actually, they do both. Of the credit scores, the SBA, this is a little bit difficult to answer, but the SBA did relax the credit score to under 600. They look at the whole scenario, and I would recommend that the business owners who is asking this question, or if a lot of people are hesitant about that, go ahead and apply. And then see what the SBA says about after they evaluate your application, and of course your capacity to repay the loan. I mean, that is always an issue. So I would encourage you to apply. The worst they can say is no, or they can say they want some more information from you in order to be able to approve the loan.
Thank you, Sylvia, for that. Our third question is, I applied for grant money and small business loan. I received the loan, but not the grant. Is that still available to me?
Okay, in some situations, I have heard that people receive the loan before they receive the advance. If that is the case, you are welcome to send in an inquiry to find out if why you did not qualify for the advance or if it is going to be coming to you. However, I have heard that people were approved for the loan and later on they received the advance. But it doesn't hurt to ask. Send in an email. If you don't know, you can either call the number that I gave earlier, which is 1-800-659-2955, or you can also send an email to one of the emails, like when you receive the documents to sign for the loan, you can send an email there, or you can also ask me later and I'll give you the email. I don't, it's disaster customer service at sba.gov.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Sylvia. This next question's for Matthew. Do manufacturing companies who are essential businesses without storefronts but sell online and take phone orders considered eligible for the grant program?
If which grant program? You mean the economic injury disaster loan?
Oh, this is for Matthew. It's regarding
Okay.
the COVID compliance.
Okay.
So there are some talks of relaxing some of those eligibility requirements. So I would recommend any business, if you do fall in that 1 to 100 employee range, that you just go ahead and apply. Because the worst that comes out is that you get the placard that says you are compliant. And then the best is that you do get that grant funding.
Thank you, Matthew. We do have another question for Sylvia regarding the EIDL loan. They recently received the EIDL loan, but it was for half of what they actually needed. Is there a plan to offer additional loans for EIDL?
Oh, okay. If the borrower has not signed the note, they can go back to the Disaster Assistance Center and ask for an increase or for the loan application to be reevaluated to see if that amount can be increased. They should do that before they sign the note. If they sign the note and accept that amount, then they have 2 years to go back and ask for an increase. Or under the same loan number, they do not need to apply again. Under the same loan number, they can ask for an increase.
Thank you. And this could be directed towards Sylvia or Michael, but is there an early payment penalty for the disaster SBA loan? Also, can we start making payments before the 1-year anniversary?
There are no prepayment penalties. And if the business is in a condition to prepay the loan earlier, definitely they're welcome to do that.
Perfect. And what loan programs are currently available for businesses impacted by COVID-19? They want to know specifically, will there be any additional disaster loans available for small businesses?
You know what? At this point, we know, for example, that the PPP is going to sunset next week on the 30th. But the economic injury disaster loan, which is a fantastic loan that offers cash, working capital, cash for businesses, is going to be available until September 30th. Of course, there are other loan programs like the ones that I mentioned for businesses. We have 10 different loan programs that people can tap into if they want to get a loan. Some people have actually told me we do not want the advance, and I prefer to look at another loan program because they want to have more flexibility in the way that they want to spend the money. So we have the other loan programs. But if you have been impacted by COVID-19, I will suggest that you take a look at the EIDL. The other one is sunsetting, but take a look at the EIDL first. Now, later on, I forgot to mention, for example, that the disaster assistance office is going to have loans available for businesses that were impacted by the protest a couple of weeks ago, and you should be hearing more information about that soon. And but no, I would recommend the EIDL for people that are still looking for access to capital.
If I could jump in there, the state of California just released a loan program that's Prime Plus One for anybody that got denied any federal disaster funding. So Prime Plus One right now is roughly about 4.75%. Really the same kind of criteria as far as a typical loan. It's going through the Financial Development Corporation. So if you go to the state of California, go to the governor's office or go to iBank, literally I and then bank, you can find out where they're located. They're still rolling that program out. There's about $100 million in there. And so you can qualify for up to $50,000, but you have to have a denial letter from the SBA's federal programs or the Paycheck Protection Program.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Our next question is, I started my business right before the pandemic, but didn't have everything in place. I had just set up an appointment with SCORE to help with business plans, but because I'm a farmer, I went on and planted my crops. Would I be able to apply for the loan?
You know, I am not sure about that situation. I don't know if Mike can help me with that.
Yeah,
Because I'll turn it over.
So as long as you started your business prior to COVID-19 hitting, or really kind of looking at that March 12th kind of date or time frame, March 12th, March 19th, when the disaster was declared in California, you would still qualify. It's how your business has been affected by COVID. That's really what you're trying to prove. So if you can prove that your sales were, something happened to your sales or something happened to your crops or, all the above, you absolutely will qualify. And so again, if you need help, call SCORE, call us, call the SBA. We can help you through that process. But you would qualify through the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. As far as the Paycheck Protection Program, depends if you have payroll and where you're at in that process. So that might be that one might be a little bit different. But definitely reach out for help. And the EIDL loan you absolutely could qualify for.
Yes. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you both. I think we have time for at least 1 to 2 more questions. Jacob, if you wanted to put forward any questions that we received in the chat box.
Great, thanks, Julie. I have some questions here about the statuses of EIDL applications. Someone's saying that they applied on the first day that it was open, but they haven't received any kind of status update. Is there someone that they can follow up with on that? Sylvia, would that be you?
Yes, I would recommend that they call the 800 number to find out about the status of the loan. Like I was saying earlier, there is a backlog of about, some businesses have experienced a delay of 4 weeks, 6 weeks, or up to 8 weeks in their response from the center. If they have a number, a confirmation number that their application went through, I would say that they are in good standing. If they, I'm not too sure what you mean that they apply. When did they apply? If they first opened 2 weeks ago, they might need to wait a little longer. Now, if they apply like in March or April, they can call the 800 number to find out the status of the loan. I understand that the loans go through several stages. There are like 4 or 5 stages. And so it's just a matter of finding out where they're at. I don't want them to be patient, but it takes some time.
Yeah, if I could just jump in real quick. Definitely, call the 800 number. You can reach out to the SBA. You can reach out to me. We'll give you what that number is. But also know that if you get a denial letter from SBA, from the EIDL, there's been a lot of people that maybe transposed a number incorrectly. And keep in mind, this is an automated format to start. So perhaps, you put your social security number and you put a 771 versus 17. Simple things like that are getting people a denial letter. So if you've got one, reach out to Sylvia, reach out to me. If sometimes it's just a simple, small mistake that got you kicked out that we can put you back in. You don't have to go all the way to the back of the line. You go right from where you're at, and then they'll relook at it. So.
Yes, thank you. That is a really good point, because we have helped businesses that made a mistake on the email. They forgot one number, one letter, and of course they're not going to get the email, and they're wondering why it's taking incredibly long. If you suspect that it's taking a little bit longer than normal, then let's find out what is the delay, and hopefully is not a mistake from from the application. But if that is the case, it can be resolved.
All right. Thank you guys so much for your time. Jacob, if you don't mind going to the next slide. And I'd just like to thank you all for your participation and joining us today. I will turn it to the Congresswoman if she wanted to provide any last comments for the audience.
Unmute, mute.
Always forgetting that mute button. It's been a long morning already. Listen, thank you so much, Sylvia, Michael, and Matthew, for your time today, and for your assistance and willingness to continue to work with our small business owners who absolutely need your help right now. If you still need additional help, go to my website at torres.house.gov to see the various resource guides available right there from the homepage. While you're there, sign up for my daily e-newsletter on COVID-19, where we give you updates every single day, new information. Sometimes, not often, but sometimes if we have critical information that we need to get out to you, we will send you an email during the weekend. But for the most part, it's just daily changes as things progress. And don't forget, my office, my staff, and I are working nonstop to help support you. If you don't have access to the internet, call us at 909-481-6474. Thank you again to all of you, and I hope that you stay safe. Don't forget, new governor's orders that we must all wear a mask outside. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Congresswoman Torres. Look forward to seeing you again.
I know, soon. Thank you, Sylvia, for continuing to join us on this.
Yes, thank you. It's my pleasure.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.
And a good weekend.
You too.
Thank you.